Hello and welcome to this tutorial which will teach you all about how to use Comic Life. Now you do have to download it. Obviously in school we've got it already downloaded. At the moment they're offering it for free for 30 days. Prior to everything that's going on at the moment, it was only available for 7, so they have increased the days it's available for free, and it supports both Mac and Windows users. Really simple to download it. You just type in Comic Life into Google, or you can even put it into your URL box. You'll go to the top option on Google, or if you just type it in here, Comic Life, it will come to this page. You just press here, try it for free, and then you download it. I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to do it again. It was a really quick download. I know that it works exactly the same on Windows as well. Once it's downloaded, it will look a little bit like this. You might have a different page. It might be on scripts, it might be on all, but what we are interested in are comics. You can start with a blank. Now, if you do start with a blank, I would always choose with styles, and you double click it and it will come here. So once you've clicked on blank page with styles, this is what your screen will look like. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, or you can press fit and it will automatically fit the page for you. I'm just going to click on zoom in for a second. On the left hand side, it's almost like your viewer. So at the moment I've only got one page available to me. What's quite nice is that you just have this button here, new page, blank, and there we are, you've got page number 2. If you do that by accident and you only want one page, you can just delete it. For Mac users, I pressed Control and click. You might be using a mouse that has a right click set up, you can do that. Windows users, you can just right click. Once you have deleted it, you're back down to 1. On the right hand side, I've got built-in layouts available to me. Now that's good for helping you set up a page, helping you set up a comic page. What's really simple about this is you just drag it and you drop it. You might not like what you did, so you can undo. Quick keyboard cheat for that is Command and Z if you are on a Mac, or Control Z if you are a Windows user, or just at the top here, go to Edit and then click Undo. So these are the different panels that are available to me at the moment within the built-in basic templates. If you want to, you can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. It has got some funny noises. Let me turn it up for you. You can hear always a little bit entertaining. So there we are. You also have the option to add in your own panels, so you can personalise or adapt the templates that have already been made available to you. You just click and drop in there, and then you'd make it the appropriate size. I'll just make that a little bit smaller. Okay, so you either have the ones that are built in for you, or you can use what's been built in and adjust it accordingly. You might want to have a blank page and set up your panels in the way that you want. So without actually having a built-in template, you can just dragging and drop there. The other thing that you should probably get used to is putting a background behind your panels. So let's say I wanted that one, just click, and then this one, I don't know, I fancied that one, and you just click. For consistency, you might want to keep the same background. I think that one's a bit nicer. And it just gives your comic a little bit more character, makes it a little bit more original to you as well. So you'll have to make sure that your comic uses correct comic conventions. We will be learning about these throughout the unit, but at the bottom here you can already start to see that there are lots of different conventions. Most importantly are your speech bubbles. Now you've got different speech bubbles, and when we did the prep work, you would have learned about some of these different bubbles. So you've got your classic speech, you've got your whisper, so you can see that the lines have been sort of cut out a little bit. You've got your thought bubble, and then you've got the different jaggedy sort of speech bubbles here, and they can be used for coming out of electronics, so if a radio is speaking or a TV is speaking. I'm just going to pop one in for you so you can see what it looks like. Again, you just drag and drop, and automatically the system works so that it will say your words here so that you know to put words in. So I'm just going to pop some in at the moment. So I've got one there. Obviously this would work alongside a character, so if a character is speaking, but just to show you how it works now, that's how easy it is to pop them in. The whisper bubble automatically will put your word in your text in caps, as well as your speech, so that you can clearly see the conversations or the text that is happening within each panel. Another important convention are the caption boxes. Now typically they either go at the top or the bottom of your panel boxes. You probably would have seen that from your research. Again, it says your words here so that you know you have to pop in whatever text you want to. Remember though, that characters don't speak this, it's a caption box. So think of it like a narration. Typically the phrases would include the next day, tomorrow, it might tell you the time of day, it might tell you the location. Remember also that you won't have two caption boxes, you would just have one in a panel, but you don't need one in every single panel in your comic. One every few, or however it is that you've designed your comic, is absolutely fine. Another thing you might want to do is use this, which is the lettering tool. I'll pop it in there. You can see that there are several styles available to you, lots and lots and lots of styles. Now the styles dependent on the genre of your comic, the theme that you want for your comic. I'm just going to click, I don't know, let's go for that one there. It changes my font, and I will call this Miss Rader's comic. Once you click off, it will change the font for you automatically, so you don't need to do anything with it at all. You might want to make it bigger, you might want to make it smaller, but if you're thinking of this, if you're thinking about using this for a title, the likelihood is that you are going to want a nice big title there. You might also want to change the design of each panel. Now you won't want to do this for every single panel because it would look too busy and you don't want to make your comic look too cluttered. But for example, if I wanted to really make the title panel obvious to a reader, you'd double click on it, you go over to styles, and then you can choose a style here. So I'll just show you a couple of them. That's one of them. Let's pick that one. That's another one. I'll show you what it looks like in a big panel as well. So typically you'd probably want to use a background for your focal points. Focal points tend to be the panels that require the most focus from a reader. The clue is in the title. So you would typically have your panel box the biggest on a page. So if I was to make this a little smaller, there we are. That would be a focal point. Something in the story that has that requires a lot of focus from a reader, might be a key part to your narrative, and then you would make it bigger. As you can see, I also just tilted one of my panels. Oh, nice little sound effect there. Remember though, you don't want to make your comic too busy, so you don't need to use that rotation device on every single panel, because it would just make it a bit of a crazy one. So when we come to importing in images, there's a couple of ways to do this. Comic Life has its own built-in images for you. Let's go for instruments. So you double click on instruments and there we are, there's a drum. So you would drag and drop. You can make it smaller and you can pop it anywhere you want. I understand that if this was a comic strip and there were characters, the likelihood is my drum wouldn't be speaking, but hey, we can be creative. So you just drag and drop the images in there. These are the ones, as I said, that are built in. You just go back, click that back arrow, I'll show you that again. Click on instruments and then just that little back arrow there. You might want, let's try and find, okay, here's an animal. Let's go for a penguin, why not? So here's my penguin. What you'll notice is that as I'm dragging and dropping images in, it automatically fills the panel. Now you can do that, that's absolutely fine, but if you want more than one character, then again, you just make it smaller. And what's quite nice is that you don't have to hold shift like you would do in Photoshop. You just make it bigger or smaller using the arrows. Try and avoid using these ones. Let me just click that. This one here and this one here just makes it a little bit more difficult for you to see where you're increasing and decreasing. What you also would have noticed is that as I put my image here, my whisper bubble overlapped it. So Comic Life knows that the bubbles are more important than the image itself. So it takes precedence, so it can go, oh, no, don't want to do that. So it can, it will go over your, let's pop it here, your image. There we go. You may also want to use your own images, and that is something that you will be encouraged to do when you move on to the coursework itself. For this task, however, which we will come on to, I'm more than happy for you to use the built-in images, but you might want to challenge yourself and find some of your own images. So just like you did with the digital graphics coursework, you would find your images. You can use different websites, you can use royalty-free websites, pop them into a folder. For ease, just for this particular task, I'd put them on your desktop so that once you go to your desktop, they would all be there for you. But that's completely up to you. If you've got Photoshop, you might want to start changing some of the images. Maybe somebody has blue hair in an image you found, but you want them to have bright pink hair. It's completely up to you. But that is where you could find them on your desktop. And again, you just drag and you drop, just like we did with these images. Using this function as well, this lettering function, is really important for action words, so the booms, the pows, the whooshes. Again, just like I did with the title, you drag and you drop. Because it's a drum image, I'll just put bang, bang. And there we go. And that indicates that that action word here is connected to this image here. Again, you don't need to put action words in every single panel, but it is a convention and it is something that really helps bring your comic to life. Don't forget to save your comic whilst you're making it, because you wouldn't want to lose anything. Easiest way to do this is File, Save, Save As, give it a title, save it to desktop, or if you're working on in a folder, save it in the folder and then click Save. Once it's saved once, while you're creating it as you're going along, just continually click Save or Command S or Control S, depending if you're working on a Mac or a PC. But do not forget to save it, because if it crashes and you lose the work, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So this here is one of the completed comics by a Year 11 student. As you can see, the title here is called Cyber Heroes, and the brief required students to create a comic teaching young teenagers about cyber safety. All the comics are very, very different. They each have a different story, they have different characters. So this is page 1, and as you can see again, the panels have all been nicely placed. They're all equal, they all start at the same point. They end at the same point, but the different sizes in the pages each help to tell the story. So the other thing I've noticed are the action words, and then you've got your speech bubbles. Moving down to the second page, and you've got the third page. This one's quite nice because it interacts with another panel. Got different sizes again, different shapes panels in this page. This is obviously a very pivotal point in the story. Got that one there. Massive focal point. And then the ending. All of these images were taken from the internet and created by the students. So these kinds of things here. So remember we learned about assets when we did digital graphics. So you've got the assets, different images. A rug was a different image to the floor, which was a different asset to the background of the wall, which was a different asset to the light. He made the light himself. He made all his characters. So it's just a case of making little circles in Photoshop. He got the bed from the internet. I think maybe the colour was changed using Photoshop, also very simple to do. So a mixture of images that have been taken online and images that have been created. So it's a mix and match. Another one here shows you a student that has hand-drawn comic images. And there's some here that have been hand-drawn and then digitally enhanced on Photoshop. Scrolling down just to show you. Another one here. We would encourage you to, as I said beforehand, make your own images. If you want to draw them, then you can digitally enhance them as well. But you've kind of got free rein with creativity, which is quite nice. So at the start of this tutorial, I showed you this page here, blank with styles, and I also went through and showed you all the different styles that are available to you. If you don't want to make your own from a blank template, you can choose any of these templates here. So let's just pick one. Double click on it, opens up for you. Again, you can see that the pre-made panel pages are here and they are in line with the theme that you've already chosen. You've got your page 1 at the top and all the other features are the same. So you've got your bubbles, you've got your caption box, you've got your nice text box, you've got your add panel here, and you've got other speech bubble buttons there as well. If you want to add a new page, it works alongside the panels on the right hand side. So you've got your cover, you've got 5 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you've got 4 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm just going to pick 4 panels, makes my new page for me. Or if you don't like those and you want to make your own, at the bottom is blank. Click on blank and then you can pop in whatever you want. And again, a couple of different styles appropriate to the theme. The backgrounds are gone because that's not the theme that you've chosen, and the different styles again just limit to whatever theme that you have chosen, but that's just the way it is. Again, you've got your lettering, colours suit it quite nicely. You've got your caption box. Here, a little bit more free rein to change your colours, and again you've got let's put in a little gingerbread man, why not? Let's keep him there. And that is exactly the same as on the blank style, except this one has a little bit more of a theme. You do also have other features if you're wanting to make your comic a little bit more advanced. You can play around with the shadow, the fill, you can play around with the stroke definition. So you might want to make your strokes a little bit thicker. There we are there. Or you might want to change the colour of your stroke. Again, that's up to you. You can fill it with a blank colour if you don't want to put the style that I showed you previously. So if you don't want one of these, then you can just use your fill colour here. You can also add a shadow. You can see there it's got a little bit of an outline, a little bit of a definition there. There's slightly more advanced features if that's what you want to do. Again, with text, other advanced features, you can change the font. You can change whether it's regular, italic or bold. You can change the font size. I've made that a little bit too big because the bubble isn't big enough to show that. Change the colour and you can make it bold. Remove the italics, underline it, align to the left, middle, align to the right. And there are some more of the advanced features. If you do add in any images from Google, or if you're working on Photoshop, ideally you want an image that's a PNG. We did go over this when we learnt about digital graphics, but PNGs basically give you no background. So the image becomes transparent. So if you can see here, this image with the tick, although it has told me it's PNG, it's told me that it's transparent, I can see that the checkerboard background is here. Prior to this, it might have been a solid black background, or it could have been any other image. But really, so that you don't end up with images that look like that, if you just want the tick, then you need to make sure if you're working on Photoshop that you save it as a PNG and then it doesn't have a background. Then it will look something like this. Originally this had an orangey background. I've deleted it, so now I've just got the speech bubble that doesn't have anything around it. It's just the speech bubble itself. The other thing I just want to make you aware about is deleting assets within a panel. So I'm just going to pop something else in here. Let's put in add image. Just make that a little bit smaller and I'm going to move it over here. If I wanted to get rid of the tick, I would click the panel that it's in, and as you can see, the outline is on the purple stroke here. So I know at the moment if I were to move this, it would move the whole panel. But I don't want that. I don't want to move the whole panel. Again, to step back, edit, undo, or Command Z, or Control Z. To make sure that I'm clicking on the image that I want, I click once and then I click again, but you do it quickly. So it's a double click as such. So double click, and now I know that I am on the tick and not on any other image. If I wanted to do it on the fortune cookie, double click. If I wanted to do it on the caption box, double click. Okay, single click, for the caption boxes. If you double click, then you can change the text. Okay, but for images, it's a double click. Sometimes it can be a bit fiddly and you'll get a little bit frustrated, but stick with it. That is the way that you can get rid of images. If I was to put another image in this panel, because it's already got one in it, it will come up and it will say, do you want to replace it, do you want to add it, or do you want to cancel? If I wanted to replace it, just replace it. Again, if I wanted to go backwards because I'd made a mistake and I just wanted to add it in, then you click add. When it comes to exporting, it's really, really easy. You go to your top right hand corner and there's the button there that says export. You click on that and then it asks you, do you want it as a PDF? Do you want it as images, photos? Don't worry about that one, and don't worry about that one. For the moment, we're going to stick with PDF. You can either change from 72 dpi to 300 dpi, they're the two dpis that you've been taught about. So remember, this one's appropriate for web, this one is appropriate for printing. It's a higher dpi. Just because we're making it from the web, we're going to stick to this 72 dpi. I'm going to say all pages, then you click on next, and then you save it, and you save wherever is best for you to locate it. So just pop it on your desktop. Let's save it as comic test. Export it, and there we are. I've opened it up as my PDF, and here is my lovely little gingerbread man and a nice exported comic.